and welcome back to the next day of your 30 minutes a day for 30 days yoga challenge benefiting St. Jude Hospital. I'm so excited to get into today's asana practice or physical-based practice, which is standing poses. Most people, when they think of yoga, they think of a lot of these poses, and I'm so excited to teach them to you today. Let's get started. For today's practice, you will want to have your yoga mat or whatever you're using for a yoga mat, a towel, a blanket, anything that will help your feet to grip the floor underneath you so you can stay more balanced. And if you have them, I highly recommend using 2 yoga blocks, but if you don't have those, no worries. I'll provide some cues for both options. Let's start off as usual with a little bit of centering to focus our minds and find our focus on the breath and on mental stillness before we add in movement. One more little reminder, I don't like to wear socks for this particular yoga practice unless they're grippy socks. This is a personal preference thing, but if you find yourself slipping and sliding a little bit today, I'd highly recommend taking off your socks and getting a little more grippiness from your skin. So let's find our comfortable seated position. And today, if you do have a yoga block or a pillow with you, I invite you to try placing the block or the pillow underneath your seat. Some people like this to help loosen up their hips and knees. Some people prefer to stay grounded on the floor. You choose what feels best for you. Once you're there, start to rock back and forth on your sits bones. Find that sweet spot where you can sit up nice and tall with room for the diaphragm to move, but you feel relaxed. Release your hands to somewhere comfortable. And if you'd like to, today I invite you to try either placing your hands downward, which is said to be more of a grounding, calming energy, or try flipping them upward, which is said to be more of a receiving and releasing energy. Once you're where you want to be, inhale, squeeze your shoulders up and into your ears. Exhale, roll them back and down. Take that 2 more times. Inhale up. Exhale, back and down. Inhale up. Exhale, back and down. Take any little neck movements that you need to get comfortable here. And start to either blink your eyes closed or find your drishti or looking place to settle into some stillness. Begin by breathing in and out through your nose or your mouth. And just starting to check in with your body and your mind today. Notice if you've got a little bit of that monkey mind going on, with your thoughts jumping from place to place. Maybe more of the donkey mind, where you feel lethargic and disconnected. Or maybe your focus comes a little more easily today. Allow yourself to connect with any distractions you might have around you. Remembering that though we cannot control outside circumstances, we can choose where we place our attention. Melt your shoulders a little more away from your ears. Soften into the space between your brows and relax your jaw. While noticing and making space for everything you've brought to your mat today, begin to breathe a little bit deeper. Choosing to remain unaffected by all circumstances. Let all of your attention fade into your breath and into just noticing what you're dealing with today. If you'd like, I invite you to pull your hands together at your heart center. Press your thumbs into your sternum, opening up to your heart space and inviting some compassion into your body. And if you'd like to set an intention for your mat practice today, take time to set that now. Let's seal in our meditation with one round of unifying, cleansing breath. Deep inhale through your nose and out through your mouth. Slowly start to blink your eyes open, coming back into this physical space. Let's begin with a little warm up through our Pratapana, our 6 spinal movements, and some of the poses we've already learned to wake our bodies up for the standing shakes. If you're seated on top of something, slide it out from underneath you. And today we'll begin in our tabletop position. So coming back onto hands and knees. If you've got any crunchiness going on, I recommend grabbing some padding, maybe a blanket or towel to place underneath your hands, knees, or both. Now once you're here, stay deeply connected to the breath that you've cultivated. Inhale to drop your belly, lift your gaze and your tail high for your cow pose. Exhale, curl your chin into your chest, push the ground away, tuck your tailbone, cat pose. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze, lift your tail. Exhale, push away, curl. Keep moving like this, really dial into your breath. Inhale when you open your heart. Exhale when you compress. Let's take 6 or 7 more of these and notice what feels different today. Do you feel engagement or tightness in some different spaces today than on other days? And if you'd like, I invite you to add a little elbow bending or some side-to-side tail wagging. Whatever feels authentic to you here and helps you nourish your body's needs today. Start to come back to stillness in your tabletop position. And draw your knees mat's distance apart. Press your big toes together. Press your bum back towards your heels and reach your hands forward until your forehead can maybe come to the mat. Finding your child's pose. Feel free to adjust as needed here. If it feels like too much in your hips, walk your knees closer together. Maybe lift your hips higher. Once you've settled in, creep your fingertips an inch further forward. Push into all 10 fingerprints, elevating the palms. Then take a deep inhale. And exhale, press into your forearms. Let your bum press back towards your heels. You can stay right here or maybe shake your head back and forth to massage your forehead against your mat. Stay in this position, then slowly start to walk both hands toward the top right corner of your yoga mat, maybe a little bit further out. You can stack your left hand on top of your right hand if you'd like. And our target area is the left side of the body here. Take a big breath in. As you breathe out, press your left sits bone down and reach further out with both fingertips. Let your ears fall between your biceps and take one more deep breath. Slowly walk back hands in through center. Then walk them towards the top left corner of your mat or maybe a little further out depending on your mobility and the length of your arms. If you'd like, you can stack your right hand on top of your left and release your ears between your biceps, maybe forehead to ground. Take a big breath in, creep your fingers a tiny bit further forward. And as you breathe out, press your right sits bone towards your right heel. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Slowly walk both hands back into center and take one more deep breath in your child's pose, noticing any shifts you feel in your shoulders or hips. Slowly start to prop your way back up into your tabletop position. And notice if you're starting to feel anything different, maybe more opening along the upper back and shoulders or along the hips. All right, now that we're nice and warm in all of our spinal movements, let's get into our standing poses. So stand up nice and tall. I'll be facing towards the short edge of my mat sideways so you can see me a little bit better. But most likely you'll have your mat facing towards me. So just know you're always facing towards the short edge of your mat unless I cue otherwise. Start by stepping your right foot all the way towards the front of your mat and take a really big step back with your left foot. So this is coming into a lunge position. Pause here with your hands to your hips. Now, there's a lot of advice about yogi alignment. I'm going to give you lots of different cues. You pick and choose what works for you. Remember, vinyasa yoga means to move in a meaningful way. So find what benefits your body and leave the rest behind. So, for the deepest stretching here, bend as deep as you can into your right knee. You might be able to get down all the way to a 90-degree angle, but if that's too much fire, ease up a little bit. Press your tailbone downward to open your left hip more and push your left knee away from the ground. You can keep your hands on your hips, or to work on some balance, lift your hands either to your heart or all the way skyward with palms facing each other. Shimmy your biceps by your ears and squeeze your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep breath in. On your breath out, if you want a little more fire, sink more into your right knee. Stay here, or for even more balance challenge, look up and hold for 3 breaths. Pull your hands to your heart and step up to the top of your mat. And meet me with your feet close together. The textbook yoga version is feet all the way together, but don't stress if that doesn't happen for you. Press your palms forward. So this is our resting pose, so to speak, in between different positions. This is our standing mountain pose. Shift your weight into your heels, spread all 10 toes apart, and ground into them one at a time. And see if you can feel a grounded, continuous line of energy all the way from your feet up through the crown of your head. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. All right, let's take the left side of our crescent lunge. You can step back to the same edge of your mat. I'm choosing to face the opposite short edge of my mat just for fun. So step your left foot forward and take a big step back with your right foot. Remembering to take all of these alignment cues with a grain of salt. To add more fire in your left thigh, bend as deep as you can into your left knee. If your knee is going past your ankle, scoot your toes further forward so you've got more space to protect the knee. To open your right hip more, press your tailbone downward and push your right kneecap away, grounding through the right heel. Stay here or draw your hands to your heart or all the way up, palms facing each other, biceps by the ears. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out and sink a little bit deeper. Now, if you really want even more hip opening, pull your left hip back, right hip forward. Stay here or look up. Hold in a way that's authentic to you for 3 more breaths. Maybe you sink a little deeper, maybe you straighten your legs. It is up to you. Breathe in gratitude. Breathe out negativity. 1 more breath. And come back up to standing. Feet close together, palms by your sides for your standing mountain. Shift weight to your heels, ground into 1 toe at a time. And take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. All right, great job. You've already gotten through one of our standing poses for today, and that one can be pretty difficult with balance. So if you're feeling a little bit of soreness already, please don't be discouraged. You're doing an awesome job. Next, we'll find a similar position known as Warrior 2. This is one of the most popular and visually seen yoga poses out there. Step your right foot all the way towards the short edge of your mat. Big step back with your left foot. We start out really similar to crescent lunge, but before you bend into your right knee, you want your left toes pointing towards the long edge of your mat rather than both feet forward. Square your hips towards the long edge of your mat. Then bend deeply into your right knee and open up your arms into a T shape. Now, if you've got this going on, where you're bending really deep into your knee and it's going way past your ankle, scoot your toes further forward to protect your knee. Keep pulling your left hip back, right hip forward, And for the deepest hip opening, softly tuck your tailbone under, pull your shoulders over your hips. Make your arms nice and strong and look over your right fingertips. Breathe. You choose what your hold looks like. If it's way too much fire, you can always straighten your leg and put your arms down. If you want to challenge yourself a little more today, sink even deeper. All of these variations are still yoga. If you're listening to your body, breathing, and trying your best, that's excellent yoga. Take one more deep breath here. And straighten into your right leg. And let's find another pose before we come out of this leg position. If you have a yoga block, place it just inside of your right calf. If you don't stress. I'll give you a different cue. So keep your legs straight. Keep your feet where they are with your left toes pointing towards the long edge of your mat. Open up your arms like a T. Then bump your sassy left hip like you're giving some attitude to an imaginary person behind you. And start to reach forward as far as you can and keep your rib cage pulled over your thigh. So rather than dumping forward like this, reaching like we're trying to grab something just past our toes, then tick-tock your right hand down to wherever it can reach. Your left hand can come onto your hip or extend all the way up to the sky. If you have a yoga block, press your right hand into your yoga block instead. This is our triangle pose. Now from here, again, you choose the alignment cues that you take. If you're feeling pretty well stretched right here, breathe into it, stay where you are. If you'd like to find a little bit of a deeper stretch, push really hard into your right hand and imagine pulling your shoulders back toward the opposite side of your mat. Maybe you look up to your top thumb and think about pressing your tailbone forward, but pulling your left hip back. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Pull your shoulders a little further away. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Slowly come all the way back up to your standing mountain. Shift weight to your heels, spread your toes apart, and press your palms forward as you ground back into all 10 toes. Now if you'd like, I invite you to rock a little bit from heel to toe here. When we first start learning standing poses, it's pretty common to get some sore feet and sore ankles. So send some love, gratitude, and breath into that space in your body for working so hard. Yoga is a great way to bring strength back into these areas, to strengthen the balance muscles, which helps increase our longevity. Take one more deep breath here, either still or moving. And let's switch to the left side. Grab your yoga block if you have one. Step your left foot towards the short edge of your mat, and your right toes nice and far back, with your right toes facing towards the long edge of your mat. Make sure that your left heel is aligned approximately with your right arch. If you've got a yoga block, place it just inside of your left calf. If you don't, no stress. Open up your arms into a T. Pull your hips until they're squared, facing towards the long edge of your mat. And take a deep bend into your left knee. And remember, you choose. If you want more fire and muscle building in your left thigh, then nice and deep, as far as a 90-degree angle. If that feels like way too much, don't stress. Straighten your leg a little more. Focus on breathing, presence, mobility. Ground deep through your right pinky toe. Pull your rib cage to face the long edge of your mat and softly tuck your tailbone to open your hips more. Make your arms strong and look over your left fingertips. Take 3 more deep breaths here. Breathing in gratitude for whatever your shape looks like. Breathing out any negative self-talk. You're doing a great job showing up for yourself and trying something new. Slowly straighten into your left leg. Now if you're like me and your stance feels a little bit wide here for triangle, feel free to walk one set of toes in just a little bit. Arms out like a T again. Bump your sassy right hip towards the short edge of your mat like you're giving a person behind you attitude. Then reach forward, forward, forward like you're trying to reach for something just past your left toes. Tick-tock, left arm down. Right arm up high. Either pressing your hand into your yoga block or into whatever you can reach on your leg. Hone into the breath. And if you'd like to go deeper, what I see a lot of times in this pose is this forward lean motion, so we can lean deeper and put the hand on the ground. But the purpose and the deepest stretch in this pose is found by pushing the rib cage away from the left thigh so we can pull our shoulders back towards the left long edge of our mat. Your right hand can be to your hip or up. And to find an even deeper stretch, look up to your right thumb. It almost feels like we're doing a little bit of a back bend here. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Roll your right hip back a little more. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Slowly come all the way back up to your standing mountain. Press your palms forward. If you'd like, you can shift your weight from heel to toe. Check in with your breath and notice what feels different. Do you feel any heat in your legs? Do you feel any opening in your hips? Where do you feel sensation or changes? Right now, I feel a lot of fire in my quads. Feel some opening in my hips and soreness in my ankles. You might feel something similar or something totally different. All individual experiences are unique and mean that you're doing great work. Breathe in gratitude. Breathe out judgment. All right, let's take one more standing shake before we come into our Shavasana today. If you have yoga blocks, take them both and place them at the top of your mat about shoulder distance apart. If you don't have yoga blocks, don't stress. I'll give you a different cue. So step your right foot forward. If you've got yoga blocks, you want your foot in between the yoga blocks. Step your left foot back and have a very slight diagonal lean to your left foot, almost like you're standing on train tracks. You want your feet to be about 2 or 3 foot lengths of your size foot apart. Pull your right hip back and your left hip forward so you're facing the short edge of your mat. Now from here, breathe in, lift your hands up high, stack your spine up, press your tailbone downward, grow as tall as you can. Breathe out, reach forward as far as you can and shift as much weight into your right foot as you can. If you want to add a little micro bend to your right knee, that's perfectly fine. Then either release your hands to your yoga blocks or to whatever on your leg you can reach. Might be your thigh, shin, ankle. You might be able to reach the ground, but do not stress overreaching that. Most people don't reach the ground on their first day of doing this pose. Grab onto what's there and see if you can keep your gaze towards your right big toe. Breathe in, lift a couple inches. Breathe out and sink a little bit further. Ground into your breath here and send love to wherever you feel the most sensation of stretch. One more breath, sink a tiny bit deeper. Breathe into the edge of it. Pull your hands to your hips and slowly curl all the way up. Whew. And let's switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back. If you have yoga blocks, set them up and step your left foot in between your yoga blocks. Your right foot is almost directly behind your left, but maybe just a little bit diagonal and off to the side. And make sure your feet are only 2 or 3 foot distances apart from each other with your footprint sizing. Once you're there, really ground in through both heels. You might already feel a lot of stretching in your calves and ankles here, and then more hamstring as we come down. Big breath in, lift your arms up high, grow tall, and press your pelvis forward. Breathe in. Breathe out, reach forward as far as you can, shift as much weight as you can in your left foot, maybe micro bend your left knee to protect it, and then reach for whatever's there, yoga blocks or part of your leg. Keep shifting as much weight as you can into your left foot. This helps really align the hips and pelvis to stretch them deeper. See if you can keep your gaze on your left big toe, or if it feels better to let your head hang heavy, relax into your neck. Take 3 more deep breaths. Keep pressing down through your right heel. And send some love into wherever you feel the most sensation. Sink a millimeter deeper. Breathe into the edge of it. Micro bend both knees. Pull your hands to your hips and slowly curl all the way back up. And meet me in your standing mountain. Feet close together, palms forward. This time I invite you to find a little more stillness. Let the echoes pass and notice where you feel them. For me today, I feel the most burn in my calves and ankles, specifically my right calf. What do you feel? Notice with gratitude, without any judgment. And all right, let's begin to set up for our Shavasana. So in your time, as slowly as you would like to, start to make your way down to the ground. You can come through a tabletop, or you can just slowly make your own way to the ground, whatever feels safe and accessible for you. Come all the way onto your back with your knees bent and your feet planted. And usually after we've done some more active poses like the ones we've done today, it can feel good to have a little stretching again before Shavasana. So if you would like to pull your knees into your chest, maybe draw some circles with your knees or circle out your ankles. You can find that or any of the seated poses that we've already learned, like your waterfall or your happy baby pose. Or if you're ready to just come into your ending meditation, feel free to start lying down and getting comfy. This is all about assessing what our body needs today and loosening up before we come back to full meditation. Now in your time, find your Shavasana or corpse pose for today. Our classic Shavasana is legs long, max distance apart, arms out to the sides with palms facing up. But again, you always choose what makes you feel the most comfortable and relaxed. For me today, I'd like to bend my knees and plant my feet to add a little low back release, and maybe place both hands onto my hips. You decide if you like this, or maybe you add a pillow underneath your knees or your head. Maybe your arms are up and overhead. Find what feels good. Once you're there, slowly shake your head no to relax through the back of your neck. Swallow to soften your throat. Slowly blink your eyes closed. Take a deep inhale through your nose and retain it. Exhale, let it go out your mouth. Notice the soft darkness behind your eyelids and the feeling of gravity softly anchoring you in towards the earth. Allow your body to melt under this gentle weight of gravity. And just as we've done in our other practices, begin to slow down your thoughts. Starting first with physical stillness. We begin to identify thoughts one at a time, slowing them down, releasing or not indulging any thoughts that do not serve us, and allowing the mind to quiet as much as it can. Today's Shavasana will be 90 seconds. Take rest, and I'll let you know when it's time to wake up. start to bring some gentle movement back into your body. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes or circle out your wrists and ankles. If you'd like, you can pull your legs long, arms up and overhead for a full body stretch, like you're getting out of bed in the morning. And pull your knees into your chest. Pause here to give yourself a big hug. And just send yourself a little gratitude for trying something new, challenging yourself and choosing your wellness today. Slowly make your way up into a seated position. Maybe you rock and roll along the distance of your spine, or you roll to one side and press your way up. And meet me in seated with your hands to your heart, thumbs pressed into the sternum. We end our practice as always with our reminder: the light and goodness in me sees and bows to the light and the goodness in you. We bow together in mutual respect, honoring our Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. Remember that this will be our practice again tomorrow. Find a little more focus on the breath and the meditative aspects tomorrow, and I will see you guys again soon. If you haven't already followed my socials or donated to the St. Jude fundraiser, please check out the description below.